Hi, my name is Amy. Thank you very much for watching, and let's make some amazing financial commentary together. This is for entertainment purposes only, so if you are entertained, please like and subscribe. Really appreciate that. So, today I want to do something a little bit different. I was watching this video from Graham, and I'm not going to play the whole video for you. I'll put the link to it in the description down below, but basically he's going through what changed for him and why he's taking a step back from being this super uber cheapo that he's been basically his entire life. And it's so interesting because like when I was in China, like I've been where he's been, except I don't have the success that he has. So basically when I was in China, I would underestimate mentally my income and overestimate my expenses to the point where one time I actually gave myself a panic attack and I was like, this is not healthy. We're going to budget not down to zero, just in a way that I'm aware of what I'm spending and I'm doing okay, but I'm not going to stress myself out about it. But I would still do things like, and I was in Costa Rica and someone had actually met Graham and he told a story about how they'd gone to a restaurant and Graham asked if the sauce was extra and then declined the sauce. And like after a certain point when you make so much money, you think, man, if you want the sauce, get the sauce. And I have a story similar to that where I was at a deli and they asked if I wanted a pickle and I asked them, does the pickle, does it cost extra? And they said yes. And I was like, well, I don't want a pickle that badly. And my sister turned around and she was like, just get the pickle if you want the pickle. And, you know, it's one of those things like, it's a dollar or so. It's $1.50, say. So get it because it doesn't matter, or don't get it because it does matter. To me, I will pay for things if I think it's worth it, but I need to know that it is a cost and not just something you asked and then you tacked on a different charge for it. But I do understand how, or empathize, I guess, with you get so used to being frugal, you get so used to denying yourself things that when you get to the position where you have the money, it is difficult to spend the money. And he said that one of the things that happened was like his build in LA going really badly, and then also the pullback in April. And seeing all the money that he saved up in the stock market basically get erased by the market. And it's just paper losses. The market will recover. But yeah, it's depressing. Like years of your life just evaporated because the market was having a hissy fit. And I think that my turning point for that, because it's kind of like a lot of people that are in debt, but then they have something they refer to as D-Day, like their debt day, where they just take a breath and they're like, come to the realization, I am in so much debt, and now it is a problem, and now I have to take care of it. But it's kind of the opposite for the super savers, where it's like, oh my gosh, no matter how hard I try, something is going to happen. Something at some point is going to take my money. And am I going to spend my entire life denying myself every single pleasure? Or am I going to, if I want some extra sauce, I'll pay for some extra sauce. If I want to do this thing and it costs a little bit extra, if I want to spend extra $100 for 5 extra inches when I'm doing international flights, for the Economy Plus on the flight, little things that if you're being absolutely frugal, you may want to, take the flight that has 3 connecting flights and takes 17 hours to get to for $150 off versus the direct flight. Things like that where it there comes to a point in your life, and for me, I was doing so well. I was really good at disciplining myself and saying like, no, you don't need it. It's too expensive. Stop doing that. And then I got pulled over, and it wasn't like I was speeding or anything. I just really hate driving, and there was a police officer on the side of the road, and I just did not feel comfortable changing lanes. And I got pulled over because I failed to change lanes because I didn't know it, but apparently it's illegal to not change lanes in Florida if there's a police officer on the side of the road. So I wound up getting a ticket, but I was like very distressed. I didn't drive for a whole week after that. I was crying I do not like that, but it was just like, I'm going to do well, and I'm going to be doing my thing and be so frugal, and then a officer's going to have a bee in his bonnet, and I'm going to get a $300 speeding ticket. Like, why am I saving so much money that I'm denying myself so much when, like, some little bill like that is going to show up? So, I have had and I was like 26 at that time. So I've had a very long time to have the philosophy of, hey, I'm putting like at least 40% of my take-home pay into investing. I can go out to eat every once in a while. I can go visit friends. I can, as long as I am, not in debt. Well, at the time, up until like 3 years ago, as long as I'm not in debt, as long as I'm investing, as long as, I'm on track for my goals for retiring early, then yeah, I'm going to go on the vacation. I'm going to, get the treats for my cats. I'm going to, within reason and within my budget. I just think that an extreme in any way, an extreme spendthrift, like you're spending money you don't have, that's bad. Extreme frugality, that's also not amazing, because you get to the point where you have spent your entire life being the most efficient, doing the most crazy cheap things, and it got you where, and I liked that Graham said this, where it's like, the thing that got you here will not get you there. So it's great that and I do think that more discipline earlier on is a good thing. And then as life progresses and you see the fruits of your labor, then you can take the pedal off the metal and ease up the restrictions. But I think a lot of people get it backwards, where they basically they leverage their future, and then they spend their 30s and 40s paying off the decisions that they had in their 20s. And at that point, it is what it is, but it is a little bit sad. So, the point of that is that I totally understood everything that Graham was going through. I wish, just like in a vague sense, that I was even a little bit as successful with him as him with YouTube, but we're working on that. And I think for me, for my personality, if what I would recommend for others is just like, know your boundaries, and then figure out what is important to you, and then in your budget, prioritize the things that are important to you, and then you'll get to where you want to go. And really, like, people are just so good at either like the total restriction, but if you were just like, it's going to take me an extra 6 months to pay off all of my debt, but I'm going to go out to eat once a week, I think that's fine, as long as you can stay disciplined. And I would rather have the spending habits I want now and not have to go through the issue of having an issue spending money later than trying to spend the mental capacity and the mental load of being the absolute most frugalist person that I absolutely ever frugaled. So, I do wish Graham well, and let me know what you think. Are you more of a spender or a saver? Do you have problems spending your money? And I will talk to you all later. Bye.